as Dr. J always says, think about what you're thinking about. And it not only affects you and your life, it affects those around you and the race. I have a friend who has gone through a lot of life with that really attitude of gratitude. And it's worked wonders. Wonderful things have happened in her life. And then for a while, things seemed to be not going so well, and I could see her and hear her focusing more on what wasn't going well. And so guess what started happening? Things kept going, not, worse, basically, because she forgot that attitude of gratitude. And, it's like all of us. We know it, but sometimes we forget to practice it. Well, it was interesting. She went to her mother-in-law's funeral, and it was something about, how sometimes a life event makes you reevaluate. And she remembered, I forgot that I practiced this attitude of gratitude, and she would declare often, my life is so wonderful. So she started doing that again, and guess what's happening? She's getting happier, and life is getting better. Instead of saying, well, if so-and-so would do what I want, I'd be happy. Although we've all said that, I'm sure. But really remembering to focus on the good, and then more good comes. There was a story in The Power about a man who was pretty unhappy. He was lonely. He was divorced. He was lonely. He had a job he hated. And he knew he had to do something because he was miserable, right? So he decided he would practice love and gratitude every day. And even though so many of the things in his job he didn't like, he decided to focus on the things he did like. Because, there's got to be even little parts of a job that you could like. And as he focused on that, he also focused on talking very positive all day long. And what was interesting was within 120 days, this job that he hated totally changed. They totally changed what he had to do and to things that he loved to do. And he even got to travel to places he'd always wanted to travel. So it really, and then he got a raise, he paid off his car loan, and he even met his 10th grade sweetheart, and they got married in a few months. Now, is that a great story for an attitude of gratitude? Here he's thinking everything's miserable, I'm not going to accept that, and changes his attitude. In The Power, there's one more story, and Rhonda talks about her mother. She said that her mother and father fell in, it was like love at first sight, and they had the best relationship she's ever seen. Just this incredible love. Well, after years, her father died. And of course, her mother felt deep grief. But she didn't want to stay in that for forever, which she well could have, because they had this wonderful relationship. Instead, she thought, well, I've always wanted to travel, and I haven't because her husband didn't like traveling. So I think I'll start traveling. And she started doing things that she had wanted to do, but it never seemed like the right time. And what this did was bring her out of that deep grief, bring her some happiness, and she could go on to live the rest of her life, always, of course, loving her husband and being grateful for what they had, but experiencing new good. I like to think about that because I think sometimes grief can be really heavy and it can feel like you can't get out of it. And of course, you have to go through some of the grieving. I mean, it's human when you have a loss, but then moving on to remember in the now, there's always new good. Meister Eckhart, so wonderful, that 13th century monk, how wise he was so long ago, said, if the only prayer you say in your entire life is thank you, that's enough. Thank you is enough. sometimes situations in life seem really hard to overcome. There's a man, Nikola Tesla, who had many horrific hallucinations and emotional traumas in his life, and he started going to college and he started a job, and he had to quit both because he had a nervous breakdown. Well, this looked like kind of a hopeless situation, but what he decided to do was to stop his mind from thinking about like all these scary kind of things that normally popped up, that he started thinking about things he could invent. And he patented over the years 300 inventions, including wireless communication, the fluorescent light, the laser beam, and the hybrid car. So he took control. He decided, I'm not going to, I have the power. I am an expression of God. So I'm going to choose what I want to think about. And because, like they say, don't think of the pink elephant, what do you think of? The pink elephant. So he's not going, don't think of these scary hallucinations. Instead, focus on inventing things. Of course, Einstein said, logic will get you from A to B, but imagination takes you everywhere. And we all have imagination. We could spend more time using it. And it's fun when you imagine great things. Now, most of us would like more money. It's always fun. And some of us feel like we're in a situation where we really need more money. Well, think about when you pay your bills. On my checks, I always write, thank you, unlimited divine supply. I just write UDS for, and at the top I write IAP, I am prosperous. But what I noticed is when I'm just writing it, quickly and not thinking about feeling it, then I don't get as good results. Because as we say in treatment, you have to feel it. So when I take a moment and think, wow, I'm paying this bill for this service. I love having a cell phone as I write my check. Whatever it is, being grateful for that. Then it's again sending a message to the universe that there is always that money available for what I need. And what if a bill comes in? It's probably happened to most of us. It's happened to me. And right now in my bank account, there's not enough money to pay it. I could still write the check, write thank you, paid, put it in an envelope, and know it's paid in the universe, and then when the money comes in, just send that check in. But again, it's about what we choose to feel, the message we send to the universe. In The Power, Rhonda tells of a time when she was in trouble money-wise. She had a lot of credit card debt, and her company was in debt for millions of dollars because she was making the film The Secret. Well, every day, people were calling her for money, and she had no idea how she was going to even pay her staff. Now, that's when it starts getting really hard, because, they're calling, where's the money, where's the money? So she said, I have to take some drastic action. She went to the ATM, or to the bank. She drew out about $300, even though she could have used that money to buy some food, groceries, whatever. She took the money and she started walking down a busy street. And she'd put a $50 bill in her hand. And she'd look at the people and think, who am I going to give it to? I think I'll give it to Estella. And she'd just hand it to someone. And then she'd put another $50 bill in her hand, walk down the street, and hand it to someone else. And she said, it just felt so good knowing that she was giving money to people and imagining now they're feeling more prosperous. And she said she felt good all weekend. This was on a Friday. Well, a miracle, although we don't believe in miracles, happened on Monday afternoon. By the end of the day, she had $25,000 in her bank account.